Well, we're down to the last thing on Lucky right here. It's vintage air. It's been super hot lately. We're just a couple days away from C10, and I was going to just leave the truck alone and be like, you know what? I can chill this week. I've got everything ready for the show. No last minute grinding, but guess what? Got the truck ripped apart. The show's a couple days away, but I need some air in this thing so I can cruise it and feel comfortable. It's the last thing on that list. So I'm ready to check it off. As you can see here, I've got a mess going on, the vintage air box. I got the SureFit kit, and I will kind of break down, kind of come up with my own kit since the Holley mid-mount on the front here already had the compressor. Really, I just needed the condenser and the front part and the under dash unit, not the Heritage unit. I've got the SureFit that comes with the big piece right here, and I'll show you guys all the parts that I have right now, a universal hose kit, and a lot of other things. But in addition to vintage air, I've got a brand new cold case radiator. It's the same type that I had here, but right after I installed the radiator into Lucky, they came out with a Midnight series, which is a black powder coated radiator. So they were nice enough to send me that radiator to install in this truck. That way everything's going to be blacked out. And this was the perfect time to install it because I had to take the radiator out to put the vintage air front piece in. You don't have to take your radiator all the way out. You can scoot it back. But if you do take it out, you have a lot more room to get everything mounted up. So I've got the radiator I'm about to put in. I did have to take the fan shroud off the front of the old radiator. The Midnight series doesn't come with a black fan shroud, so I just got some high temp black satin paint. I've got that outside, painted up, letting it dry. I'll install the fan back on the back of the radiator whenever it's time to do that. If you're watching this video when it first drops, I don't have vintage air on the website yet, but hopefully I can get those in the future. But simpleC10.co is my website. I sell all the parts that I talk about on here. That's how I earn a living, making the videos, selling the parts, but most importantly, help you guys build some awesome rides. I'm going to just hop right in because I don't have a lot of time to spend before the show, but I'm going to hop into the instructions and show you guys how to install vintage air on your 60 to 66 C10 with a vintage air SureFit kit. One thing that I love about vintage air is they have great instructions. So I'm not going to break down step by step how to do everything. I'm going to show you some of the differences that I'm doing on my truck. That way, maybe you'll consider that on your build. But I'm going to break down in the first step that we need to do. I've already removed the OEM battery tray, the OEM passenger side baffle here. That's the front core support cover. Take that off. I scooted the radiator back, and now we have to drill a hole. So we're going to measure 2 inches from the edge, and then 3 inches down. I'll make a mark, and we're going to drill an 1.25 inch hole, and that is what the lines are going to run through with a rubber grommet. And once we get that on there, we will go to the condenser mounting bracket. We'll install the mounting brackets onto the condenser, and then mount up the dryer, and then mount this onto the truck. And once we get this installed, this is pretty much the whole front setup, and then you can move on to the under dash. I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple of the lines that don't run into the cab yet, mainly this bottom one that runs right here. These lines are from the universal hose kit, and they come with fittings that the line slides over, and you use specialized clips that clips them on, so you can actually cut and clip your own lines without taking it to a shop and having them machine it. So I'm going to go ahead and just hold up a piece of line from this downward angle and then twist it around here, and just kind of like a little loop is what I'm going to do right here, and then cut it, and I'll go ahead and clamp it onto the clips. So if you do get the universal hose kit, it's going to have 3 different sizes of hoses, and depending on your setup, you'll use the different styles. One of the big lines are going to run into the cab, and then the small line runs to the condenser. So it's pretty easy to tell. They'll slide on. The fittings only go on a certain size thread, and then the actual fitting will only go into certain size hoses. So you'll know pretty quickly, but I'm just going to grab a razor blade and then hold the line up there and then mock it to size. If you don't have these kind of clips, you can't really install these correctly. The style of the ends will clip this way easier than trying to use anything else. So I recommend to get the clips if you're going to get the universal clip kit. And I'm going to spin this around, just kind of mock it up where I want it, where you don't really see the letters on the tube. And I think if I do it just like this, it should be good. So with the clips on there, I like to also spin these clips around where you can't really see them as well. The open end will go toward that, and then the small end will go toward the place that you're pressing it in. Just like that right there. And all you're going to do is press, and you'll hear it click in. See how it clicked in? And it's that simple. There we go. Those are clipped on, and that's how that works. And what it's doing is there's seals on this piece right here. This piece aligns where your clips are, so when you clip this on, it's clipping it right onto that seal. Here's how that first hose is. Comes out, just 45s down into a 90 straight up. Pretty clean. It's hard to get these super organized. I mean, that's about as good as you can get, because this one crosses over this one. I wish they would design it where it went into this one and then went to the next one, but for some reason the lines have to cross over. The bigger one is going to cross over and then meet up with the small one and go into the cab. All right, shows us getting this bracket right here and putting in a threaded piece right here, and we can use that as a guide on the inside of the cab to slide it through one of our factory holes. I went ahead and took off the GMSS inner fender cover. We're going to mount all this up, bolt it in, and then I'll put that cover back over it and drill holes somewhere right here for the AC lines only. This one right here, get that in there. And then it says to slide it into the cab and mark a hole on your firewall and drill a 5/16 hole on the bottom. Then we can drill a drain hole. Measure 12 over and 3 up for a drain hole. So it's hard to see down here, but up here on the top, there's a hole in the firewall. That's where the first stud goes. And I held that up there, and then I marked the bottom hole, which is right here, and I drilled a 5/16 hole there. And now we'll take that bracket, bolt it onto the actual piece, and when we slide it on here, everything will be good where we can bolt in the top now. That kind of gives you an alignment pin to get everything aligned, and then we can screw in the top, and you'll take out those pins from the front side and put in some bolts and hardware. So 12 inches over from the side and then 3 inches up, you'll drill a 5/8 hole for your drain. So your drain plug, any condensation that's coming from the unit will drain out through there. Now we've already put the plate on the firewall here. We already had the heater core removed. That saved us a lot of time. I've already put this filler panel on the side vents whenever I did my kick panel speakers. So all that has already been done. But if you haven't got that done yet, obviously you'll need to do it. But now it's time. Usually you would go ahead and bolt in all your heater lines, but since we're not running a heater, we're going to keep those capped, and we're going to move on to mounting up this bracket and then all the other attachments onto this to get it ready to install on the truck. So we used the spring clips for this, popped it on. These are going to go to each one of the underdash vents. This is for the floor. It clicks on, and this will heat up the floor where your feet's at. And then the back side clicks in right here, and that runs to your defroster if you have defrost. So now we're ready. We got this in here. Something interesting about these, they were little rubber connections. They're called well bolts or well connections, and they slid in there, and I had no idea how they work, but when you tighten them up, it squeezes it kind of like a rivet. It's a rubber type rivet. So that was interesting. But now basically what it's time to do is to slide this in using those pins and to screw in the top and secure everything, then come back and bolt these in from the back side here. To install the in-cab unit, all you're going to do is use the 2 slide pins. You hold the bracket up, and then you self-tap it with 2 self-tapping screws up top. You will want to put a level on the bottom of this to make sure everything is level. That way your drain port works correctly. And then from there, you come around to the front of the truck, and with the 2 pins sticking out of the firewall right here, you unscrew those and then put in the supplied hardware, and that's going to bolt the system to your firewall. I have GMSS firewall covers, but if you don't have those, the kit is going to come with one of these right here. This is going to bolt on and cover that hole, and then it comes with grommets. On this setup, it has 2 heater and 2 AC lines, but since I'm only running AC, I'm going to use this as a template, and I'm going to lay it on my GMSS firewall covers and make some cuts, and then I'm just going to drill out holes. I've got 2 grommets the size of the hoses that I need. Here's a quick wiring overview. So you're going to plug this into the actual unit, mount your relay behind the glove box, find a good ground to mount this ground to. We're going to run the blue, orange, and white wire up through the grommet on the firewall up to the battery and to the compressor. Blue goes to the compressor. These 2 go to the battery, positive and negative. This purple and tan wire will go over to your fuse box, and one will go into a keyed ignition, the other one to a light on source if you want the vintage air to light up. You can run those both if you want the light on all the time. We will connect the purple, white, and yellow wire to the connector that's purple, white, and yellow. And then you have this orange and black one. If you have your heater, this is going to plug into the heater through the firewall too. Through the grommet, along the fender, into the battery cable, and then split off, and the two blue wires run to there. And right there, I worked in the blue wire into the harness. Seems a lot more complicated than what it is. It's pretty simple. You're just running power and ground up to the front on a fuse that's right there, and then running the blue wire all the way to the front, and then the blue wire that connects to the compressor goes along and also runs to the front, and both of those plug into there. Next, we're going to take this and connect some line into it, connect it inside the cab, through the grommet, all the way to that connection right there. All right, it's pretty much a wrap on the Vintage Air install, but I did want to walk around the truck and show you kind of the final stuff because we did kind of speed through it a little bit, but let me show you all the detail stuff. I'm gonna start off with a condenser here, and this part, you can kind of see it down in the truck from the front. This is what it looks like. You can see it a little bit. That's, you know, how all these trucks are. You pretty much see that. And then here's the section where the lines run in. Those two are connected there. One of the lines run to the compressor and then out of the compressor and then all the way to the firewall into that grommet. There's 3 grommets, 1 for the wire, 2 for the AC running. I just got some of the electrical kind of plastic conduit straps, and I strapped those to everywhere that there was a little bolt that holds on these inner fenders. I just strapped those on right there to run them nicely. I may change that later on. Right now, it looks just fine. And, you know, the overall look of the truck I really like because I have the factory headlight wires kind of running here. Those go to the battery as well, and then the AC. So it's not completely shaved, I guess you would say, of like there's no wires or anything, but I still think it's super clean for what it is. Tried to tuck all the wires for the sniper and the starter, all that kind of stuff all the way around. Use some organizational things with the spark plugs right there. You can go back and see what I did with the battery, but I have these clamps. If you have never seen this, always use those little quick disconnect clamps, and I can pretty much hook up a bunch of stuff on there. And the 2 fuses that go to the Vintage Air, there's 2 different fuses you need. I put those right beside the 2 compressor fuses. So those are kind of clustered together, easy to get to in case you had a fuse go out. But overall, very happy with the front end. I know I kind of sped through it. I gave you some detail, but it really is that simple. Mounting the front piece and then running the lines to the compressor and then to the firewall. And then you had pretty much just a couple bolts holding in the section on the back side of the firewall, the big sure fit kit part. You know, pretty much this whole section was held in by a couple bolts, and then the self tappers in the glove box. Here's what the glove box looks like once you get it bolted in. This just goes in the same way a factory glove box would, but it has that little bump in it that gives you room. But I mean, you still got a lot of glove box space to put your registration and some fuses, or you know, whatever you need to put in there. If you've got a Boyd welding tank, the little thing to take the gas cap off, you know, whatever you want to put in there. But it looks pretty clean. There's not a lot of the vent, you know, space going. That's one thing I didn't really cover in the video. All you're doing is taking this vent and cutting it to size and sliding it on to the actual section. I wasn't recording when I was doing that. I was ready to get it done, but that is really easy. Again, just read your instructions, follow them. It's very easy. I just wanted to give you an overall kind of a quick view of it. That way, if you're thinking about it, but you think, man, that may be too complicated to do, it's really not. Also, you see I did the underdash kind of bolt-in kit. This comes with the SureFit kit, but also on the website, I'm adding in, when I post this video, the middle section where you cut that out and put the middle vents, and then you have the side vents and everything. That is by C10. So go on the website or click the description of this video, and it'll be one of the links there that you can buy that middle section. It'll be on my website. I'm a dealer for C10 now as well. Here is the control module. So this is something you have to buy in addition, but it just bolts in to that factory choke area right there. And this is plug and play. You just plug it in and it has on, off, cool, hot, and then your floor and your defrost, and it just looks really cool. You can get the edges with the chrome. I just went with the all blacked out. I really like the look of that. If you don't have that style, then you can, if you have the deluxe heater controls, this comes with a kit with 3 little adjuster slides that hooks into the back of your deluxe heater controls, and you can run your AC off of that. So that's a neat way to do it as well. But overall, I like this look. I think it looks really good just for a bolt-in setup. It was very easy to install. Just take your time. Thankfully, I already had like the heater core and all that stuff gone, so it made it a lot easier on me. But even if you had to remove the heater core, it's not that much work to remove that. Couple wires running to your battery, to your fuse box, and a couple lines running up here to the front. This condenser thing, it bolts in the same way that your radiator would. It's got 2 bolts on the back side that bolts it in. Very easy. But man, I really love how this turned out. The cold case radiator right here, this cold case radiator Midnight series, man, it really finished off the look. Because before, if you remember, all this was silver and it was just sticking up. And it's the first thing you notice. You see this really nice engine and stuff, and all you notice is like, man, why didn't he get like a black radiator or something? Everything else is blacked out. So that cold case radiator is where it's at. I did end up upgrading their fan. They have a fan that says it's rated at 2500 CFM, but with the condenser on the front and everything, I was running about 5 degrees hotter than I wanted to. I was sitting at like 195. So I got one of these Flexolite fans, and it is 3000 CFMs, and it's actual 3000 CFM. It's been tested. Installed that on there. It's running 185 no AC, 195 with AC full blast sitting in traffic, so I'm not worried about it at all. I did make these brackets for the radiator bigger right here, so there's more of a gap. That's one of the things that Zach from RS Restorations, he said, I need a little bit more of an airflow gap between the condenser and the radiator because they were kind of sandwiched together. But I've got another video coming out that shows kind of the brackets. I'm posting these in a weird order. I've done some stuff and then some stuff I've done later on, but I'm adding this on. But I hope it helps somebody. Lucky is really coming along. I love these GMSS inner fender covers. It really just makes the inside of this truck look awesome. Like, I really love how the engine bay for a small block truck is clean and tidy as it is. I mean, from the side. And if you're watching, these are 5.5-inch back spacing on 9 wides. And even with the factory inner fenders, with forward only Porterbuilt arms, I get a ton of clearance just left to right. Since it's not a drop member, I can't ride super low to the ground, but this is my ride height. You see, this is 80 in the front and 50 in the back. And you see, I'm, you know, tucking about 1.5 inches of wheel in the front, and it's sitting almost level, just slightly raked a little in the back, which I like. But sitting right here, I can turn lock to lock without any issues. Let me show you what I got going on the bottom, how much clearance. So you can see right there, there's about, you know, I'd say 4 inches of clearance on the frame. So 4-inch clearance on the frame is about my ride height right there. And so yeah, about 4 inches from the cross member to the ground is the ride height. Now a drop member, you would be further down on the ground with still 4-inch clearance, but I am happy with how this looks. Man, this was the last thing. Let me show you this list right here. You guys, if y'all have been watching me for a while, y'all remember this list, the Lucky build. And it seems like it was forever ago when I made this list. The slam kit, the bags, the drop shocks, the bulkheads, simple guide, simple shocks, GMSS inner fenders, remove the bumper and bed, remove the trailing arms and cross member, Timworks trailing arm cross member, Timworks trailing arms, VeloWorks rear slam kit, step notch and bridge, rear shock relocation, Watts link, Timworks rear frame cross member, Holley EFI, the bed, the bedwood, the airlift 3P, the compressors, the raised bed floor, pull the engine, install the cam and paint, Holley mid mount, the Sniper 2, the Holley dress up kit, the Sniper intake, Shiftworks 700R Ford trans, Timworks cross member, and the Vintage Air. And actually, I haven't even marked this off yet. Check this out. Y'all are watching it live, ladies and gentlemen. Complete, 100% done. Lucky right here. Now there's little things I'm going to button up with it, little bolts and screws. In addition to that list, I've installed the AIC sub box behind the seat. I have redone all the underbed air ride stuff with the square tank and all that. And the Snowden seat is in there. I've got a American Retro steering wheel, their deluxe steering wheel that has that fancy horn. It's coming very soon. The Dakota digital gauges I've done, that wasn't on the list. I'm trying to think what else was not on that list. The radiator, the front supports, the Schindel & Sons turn signals here, and I have the brake lights coming soon. And I've got some Willwood D52, the factory caliper replacements coming for this truck. Those are here. That video is coming in the next 2 weeks. Those are basically factory replacements. So you will take these off, just unbolt the factory disc brakes, and then slide on the 2-piston caliper. It bolts in the exact same way. Just bolt it on with the new brake pads. Bleed your brakes. I bought a reverse bleeder that has a pump that bleeds it through the master cylinder, so I will show you guys that. But yeah, this truck is sick. I love it. Actually, about an hour ago, I ordered the rear bumper cover, like the little things that fill these gaps here. I got to paint those. Tailors, colors, the paint job on it, that wasn't on the list. That was something I decided later on because this truck just ended up being super special. I love it. It's my favorite build. I redid all the bedwood, as you saw in one of the last videos. The satin finish just took it to another level. Look at that. That's plywood. Can't even believe it. The faux filler right there. But I could go on and on about this truck. A lot of hard work has went into it. I've got over 20 videos that I've recorded, and that's just the stuff that you guys watch me do. A lot of behind the scenes running the wires and stuff like that. But all right, enough of my rambling. Let's test this vintage air and see if it actually is cold. Cold. Vintage air is cool. So I was wrapping up this video last night and I thought it would be cool if I got one of these thermometers that's a little laser that tells you the temperature. So let's fire this truck up, turn that AC on, and let's test it. And I'll hop in my daily and I'll test that too to have something to compare it to. So let's do it. This thermometer tests the actual surface temperature, not the air temperature. Should have known that. I saw a couple other ones. But what I can do, that got down to about 43 surface temperature on the vent with it just running for about a minute. So let's test that against the daily. But I know my hand's super cold. You can see these windows, they have fogged up because it got cold in here real quick. So I am very impressed. I've had vintage air in 3 vehicles now, and all of them blew kind of cold. This has been the coldest one, and this is the only Gen 5 that I've had. The fan blows harder, and it's cold. Like on my hand, it was cold. So let's go test out the daily. There it is. Did the test on it. I know this probably isn't the most accurate thing, but on the C10, it was right at 43 degrees after about 5 minutes on the vent. And after about 5 minutes on my daily, it was right at that 43 as well. So that's a good sign. That means that thing is blowing just as cold as this truck. And I'm super happy about that. So if you're on the fence with vintage air, man, this kit was the easiest one to install. It blows cold. Super happy with it. 2 thumbs up, vintage air, but now it's the real test. Oh yeah, I'm cool. There it is. You saw it here first. Vintage air Gen 5. Blows cold. It's great. So thank you guys again for watching the video. I'm going to do one little walk around with it idling off a cold start right here. And I'll see you next time. Check out the website, simpleC10.co. Like, subscribe, all the things. I appreciate the support.